Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages. My name is Avi, and welcome back to episode 12 of Gregtech New Horizons. Last time, we got ourselves into AE2 and made a couple of new multi-blocks. This time, we're gonna start working towards platinum and make even more multi-blocks. I'm excited, let's do it. That's right. If you know anything about GTNH, you'll know that platinum is one of the first big hurdles when it comes to automation in this mod pack. It's a long line that turns platinum metallic powder into platinum concentrate, which we can then turn into precipitated platinum dust. And it requires a lot of chemicals and a lot of different processing steps. However, we're going to all make it through it, and we are also going to make through it using AE2, which is the main reason I wanted to make it so early on, because it turns the automation of Platline from something slightly difficult, something that takes a lot of time, into something that's relatively easy, and you're going to see how we do it today. Right now, we have to prepare though, because there's a lot of different machines that will go in towards making the platinum. First off, I wanted to work on something to make the aqua regia required for it. You see, what you do is you combine platinum metallic powder with aqua regia in order to get platinum concentrate. Aqua regia is a mix of nitric acid and sulfuric acid. We have plenty of sulfuric acid and we have plenty of nitric acid. However, the Platline does not use the nitric and sulfuric acid in its entirety. It actually recycles some of it. So what I wanted to do was not only make something to make aqua regia, but also prepare it for the recycling that the Platline will allow us to do, so that we don't actually use any sulfuric acid and just use functionally water. Here, I'm also prepping for some of the rest of the Platline. We're going to need a lot of LCRs in order to do all of the steps with at least some efficiency. Perfect overclocking is really nice. And while it's going to be big, we gotta go big. We want a lot of platinum. So all of this beginning bit is just making all the components that I need for, not even all of it, making just some of the components I need for parts of the plat line. The couple hundred steel machine blocks and all that. Yeah, 6 LCRs I had to make. It was pretty costly, but it's gonna be well worth it. Speaking of which, I should talk about what we are going to end up using platinum for. We're not making it for no reason. We were able to make small amounts of platinum before from smelting out platinum metallic powder in an electric blast furnace. These were mostly used to make our SMD diodes, and don't get me wrong, we'll still be making SMD diodes this way, but we get a lot more things we can do with platinum once we can get a large supply of it, more than just a couple of nuggets worth. More specifically, we can get TPV, which is an alloy and in fact the next tier of electric blast furnace coil. And also platinum, well, not required to get LUV tier machines or IV tier machines. Palladium is a byproduct of this platinum processing, and we do need that to get our LUV tier machines. So we're going to need some amount of platinum. There's also just a lot of different multi-blocks that require, in small amounts, some bits of platinum. So we need tons of platinum, and the way we were making it originally was not going to work. After messing up by placing tetrafluoroethylene instead of polytetrafluoroethylene into a machine, now I have most of the chemically inert machine casings being made, so I can start working on the first bit, which is again, nitric acid automation. Again, or not nitric acid, aqua regia. Fortunately, that requires nitric acid, and instead of piping it over to our storage system and doing some weird stuff with it, I decided it would be much easier to put a fluid storage bus on it. The powers of AE2 compel us, and now we can use AE2 fluid storage in order to transport our fluids around instead of having oodles upon oodles of pipes. And as we can see, it works perfectly. Nitric acid and sulfuric acid are showing up on the monitor. And we can also make our motors, and let's get to work on the Platline area, which I decided would be down on the second floor. I didn't really know how much space it would take up, and for some inane reason, I decided, yeah, let's have the first machine for the plat line be in the wall. Okay, so let's talk about this. So nitric acid. So the way the nitric acid and aqua regia is used in the plat line is rather interesting because it kind of isn't. Nitric or aqua regia is a 1-to-1 mix of nitric acid and sulfuric acid, and the sulfuric acid isn't consumed at all. In the plat line, the sulfuric acid is just returned straight up 1-to-1. The nitric acid is kind of used. In one of the steps, you get nitrogen dioxide back, so you get part of nitric acid still. And there is a recipe in an LCR to turn nitric acid, water, and oxygen into to turn nitrogen dioxide, water, and oxygen into nitric acid. So I had decided that that was going to be the way we were going to do it. We were going to recycle the nitric acid entirely using an LCR that is then feeding into into a mixer, which will be making the aqua regia. If you didn't quite catch all that, that's perfectly fine. It took me a little bit to get through as well. I'm also going to be setting it up with MV superconductor cable just for something later on that I'm going to want also on MV power, and I don't want an own combustion generator. By the way, this also took a lot of combustion generators because each of those machines were on its own type of power. But there you can see the recipe that takes oxygen and nitrogen dioxide and water to get the nitric acid. And that is the one we will be using. We have to do some shenanigans again, like usual, in order to get it so that a fluid and a cell go into a mixer and then the cell goes out in the right place. But it's largely the same. You've seen this before. We did it with the cetane boosted diesel. We've done it a ton of times. It's nothing any different. It's just that in this case, it's diluted sulfuric acid and nitric acid. And as you can see, that's the first bit of the plat line done. We are making aqua regia. It's a step. It's a small step, but it's something. Next up, we're going to have to get the chemical reactor to turn aqua regia and platinum metallic powder into platinum residue dust and platinum concentrate. To be clear, we're just going to be storing the platinum residue dust since we can't actually do anything with it at the moment. But the platinum concentrate, we're going to properly be turning into the platinum salts and reprecipitated platinum dust that we want. You can also see there that it returns nitrogen dioxide and dilute sulfuric acid. Also, I just wanted to point out that I found a 1 ring finally. Yay! I also realized I never actually got the achievement for getting the ME controller, so there that is now. It's time to start on the first parts of the plat line. This time, it's going to be the ammonia and the hydrochloric acid. We need this to make ammonium chloride, which we're going to need for a later step, but I decided to get this out of the way first because it's very simple, and we have large amounts of hydrogen, nitrogen, and chlorine, which we need for all of the parts of it. By the way, you may be a little bit alarmed because we have passive sources of hydrogen and nitrogen, but not of chlorine, which we obviously need for hydrochloric acid. That's fine because the plat line actually recycles a lot of the chlorine in it, so it's not a big deal. Anyways, 2 LCRs, and they're wall sharing as well. This is because they're going to be sharing their hydrogen hatch, because they both take hydrogen in order to make their respective things. So, obviously do it. I also decided to tunnel out some more of the underground, because I need all of this space in order to route the limited amounts of pipes that I need. The next part is moving the fluid cables down into the underground. This was a very annoying thing to do, but I eventually did manage it, even if it did take way longer. Also, an explosion happened. That was fun. We're now at the point of finally hooking things up. Note that the cetane boosted diesel that's going to be running the power gens is not going to be running through the AE network. I just didn't think that was entirely necessary. Also, I forgot to put in input buses, which I needed to do this specific type of circuit. And then also I did the machine controllers wrong because the machine controller covers are complete dicks. So yay. Eventually I got it to work though. It just took a bit. And that's fine. It was honestly a good experience with the little bits of AE2 that I'm working towards, and I'm going to need to do this a lot in the future, and my tools do end up improving, but ultimately, I'm going to also need to just get better at this. I did not want to annoy you all with some boring AE2, so I've just done that all, and now it will work, and it will passively generate me ammonia and hydrochloric acid. They're both set to store 16 buckets, or 16 buckets worth. It's going to take a lot longer for the ammonia to do that, because it takes 16 seconds per bucket, whereas the hydrochloric acid takes about 1 tick to do it. So that tells us which one is going to be most often running, at least. And they're also going into our ME system. So now we can actually get to work on the platinum part of the plat line. Yeah, we were doing all of that just to get the platinum part of the plat line actually made. In this case, we are going to start working on the platinum concentrate, which is probably the easiest part of it. We just add aqua regia and platinum metallic powder. In lieu of having an ME stocking bus, I'm just going to have an import bus. There's literally no use for platinum metallic powder beyond making the platinum. And this is the best way of making the platinum, so we're just going to use it all for platinum concentrate. We are not going to use it for anything else. I don't need to, decorate my base with it. There we have the LCR for platinum concentrate made. I honestly don't know why in my original edit of the recording for this, I just had the entire building session of it in here. It's an LCR. You've seen me make already 7 of them. I'm only going to be making more, so whatever. You get used to it. It's a 3x3 block. It's nothing complicated. Anyways, this is routing the aqua regia to the reactor, because that's what we use the aqua regia for. We're using the aqua regia to make our platinum concentrate, and there's no need to put in the ME system, so just do a direct piping. Same with the cetane boosted diesel for the turbo combustion gen. The only slight issue now is that we need to input the platinum metallic powder. The way I decided to do this was I would have a conveyor on an ME interface that would then import all the metallic powder that's in it there. Again, we're not using this for anything else, so might as well just do that. Right now, it works. And thus now we have our first bits of platinum concentrate being made. Yay! This recipe is pretty fast, and we're going to be doing the whole dust recipe. We're not going to be doing it in the tiny little bits that are really stupid way. No, we're going to be doing the full, we're just going to get all of the dust at once. We're not going to do the tiny recipes. Hence, we're going to be doing this one, which gets us our reprecipitated platinum and our platinum salts. We got a lot of work to do with that one, and we also need to do some work with the platinum salts, which I haven't even gotten to talking about yet, because we don't just get reprecipitated platinum for free, we need stuff with it. But first, we're going to need to turn that ammonia and hydrochloric acid that we had just made into ammonium chloride, which is then used to make that platinum recipe. And for this, I made an entirely new LCR as well for that. I also decided while building it that I wouldn't output the ammonium chloride into our ME system because there isn't really a use for it, unlike ammonia and hydrochloric acid. So I was just going to directly pipe it over to the LCR for making the other stuff. I keep the ammonium and the hydrochloric acid because they have plenty of other uses and I would need them in other places, but ammonium chloride, not really, so that's fine. Here comes our first bits of ammonium chloride. Now, the good news about this is that it makes it really fast. So again, ammonia is our only bottleneck. But the ammonium chloride, totally fine. And the chlorine doesn't get entirely used because it gets through in the reprecipitated platinum and the platinum salts. However, the the ammonia does get entirely used and turned into palladium-enriched ammonia. Again, we're not going to do anything with palladium-enriched ammonia at this moment, but we'll do stuff with it later. So, yeah. Anyways, now I am making the 6th and final LCR, this one actually making the platinum we get. Hooray! After all the stuff we've already done, this part's relatively easy. We pipe the platinum concentrate and the ammonium chloride directly in. We set 3 output buses, one of them routing the dilute sulfuric acid back, and one of them routing the nitric acid back, and another one routing the palladium-enriched ammonia just into a super tank it's going to be going into, just to store it for later. And the items we will do more with eventually. But again, it's fairly simple. We are kind of close to being done. I'd say we're at probably about the 70% waypoint. We can get some platinum, but we can get even more. It just takes a little bit more. And with that comes our first platinum craft. First bits of reprecipitated platinum and first bits of platinum dust. We're not going to actually make any more at the moment because we still need to set up the rest of the automation here. We just need these things for the line to do the filters and all that. But it's fine. I end up getting some of those other things off screen. So all the quest completions, I don't really care about that too bad. Yeah. And here you can see me routing the pipes like I was just talking about. These are very important that it actually gets automated because I don't want to be doing this by hand at all. I just want to throw in the platinum metallic powder and let it be done. So, like I mentioned, we are almost done, but let's talk about the little bit last parts that we need to do. When we have the reprecipitated platinum dust, that's pretty good. We can react it with calcium and then get platinum out of that. And we can just electrolyze the calcium chloride that we get as a result of that to get some chlorine back, which is good. The other part is the platinum salt, because the platinum salt isn't exactly immediately processable into platinum. It's the reprecipitated platinum that is super useful. But the platinum salt is still really, really, really useful because we can sift that into platinum bits and then blast furnace that into platinum dust and even a little bit of chlorine past that. Also, I started looking towards making the TPV alloy upgrade to the blast furnace because now we have a reliable source of platinum, so we can actually start considering doing that. But we got to start considering doing that later because we don't have a good supply of platinum at this point. We can do better. So there we go. I ran a decent amount of platinum metallic powder through and I got some platinum salt and some reprecipitated platinum dust. It's now time to finish that automation, and that finishing of automation is still going to take a while. First off, I'm going to set up the thing that turns reprecipitated platinum into platinum dust. In this case, I'm just using 2 single block machines, a chemical reactor, which actually gets the platinum dust, and an electrolyzer for recycling the calcium. It's relatively simple. I wanted to put it in a super compact space. It's also what I use that MV superconductor for. It took a while to do all the routing, and it was a little bit fidgety, but that's fine. I'm not expecting it to be perfect. Plus, I have these things called facades. You see, that's the difference between me and every other GTNH player. I don't lawn base. I lawn base with style. I don't actually need 16 calcium dust for this because it doesn't actually allow me to do that much. But there we go, it's finished. It's making the platinum, and it's also electrolyzing the calcium chloride. Ignore the fact that the platinum is also sometimes going into the electrolyzer. I ended up fixing that. But there we go. We have our first bits of true and proper platinum made from our plat line. And it's already way more than we'd be able to make with just electric blast furnacing the platinum metallic powder. It's not exact how much better the baby plat line is than the original one, than just using the blast furnace, but it's somewhere around the realms of 30 times better, so it's good. Anyways, here's the large sifter, because we're going to start working towards platinum salt processing. If you can't tell, there are a lot of P's in this episode. So, platinum salt is interesting. Platinum salt has almost no uses on its own, but it can be sifted into refined platinum salt with about 1/9 chance of getting it. It's a little bit weird, the exact calculations, and honestly, the exact calculations aren't even important. What is important is the fact that refined platinum salt can be blast furnace into platinum dust. So all of that platinum salt that we have, which is about 4 stacks of it, yeah, that is all about maybe 2 or 3 stacks of platinum dust in it as well. So that is really the reason why we want to do this. Because that's how we get, honestly, most of our platinum out. The reprecipitated platinum dust isn't even the best source of it. It's the platinum salt that gets us the majority of it. And also, it gets some chlorine that causes the platline to be, if not chlorine positive, then at least nearly chlorine neutral. It's honestly hard to tell because it's not super exact, and it's also chance based. But still, the platline doesn't use almost any chlorine, and it's running solely because of this process, which is really nice. So there we go. You can see the step where once we put refined platinum salt through the blast furnace, we will get platinum metallic powder back. And that is what we're going to use, and it's just going to recycle through the platline. Of course, now I need an independent blast furnace just for the platinum salt dust. It's kind of ridiculous that I'm making all of these machines for a singular thing, just so that I can like get just little bits of platinum. But I assure you, we need a lot of it. We're going to need to also expand this platline later, in order to get things like palladium, iridium, osmium, rhenium, so many different things. But for right now, just getting a good supply of platinum is really all it's asking us to do. The blast furnace that I set up to be dedicated to this is nichrome, because, I mean, honestly, I didn't have a specific reason. I just thought it was probably the best choice. It doesn't matter. Honestly, Canthal would probably be exactly the same here, but whatever. Nichrome was cheap enough, and it's all the same anyways. So there we go. So that is going to be automatically taking refined platinum salt, processing it, and then turning it into our platinum. And finally, I think we can brace it. We are done with our baby platline. Yeah, this is the baby one. This isn't even the big one. It took 6 LCRs, a large sifter, and an electric blast furnace. And we're basically just getting one thing out of this. This is all just for platinum. This isn't for anything else. This is all just for platinum as an ingot. And you know what? I am proud of it. I am really proud of it. This makes me feel like I'm playing Gregtech. This was one of the first, builds that I did that made me feel like, yeah, this is what Gregtech is about. The bauxite slag one was another one where it made me feel like I'm playing Gregtech now. But something like this is what Gregtech's about. It's about these big machines that you just have set up in a row, and it looks really cool, and it's all just for one singular resource. This is all just to make platinum. It's stupid, but it's good stupid. I love it. That's why I love Gregtech so much. It just feels dumb. I'll be honest, I could waste all day just sitting in that basement and watching the platline run, but you can see we already have, 40 platinum dust there. We could barely get 13 before, and now we're just getting it. It's going really well. And yeah, I mean, we gotta actually get to business with this platinum, but I ended up running it, and that 900-ish platinum metallic powder I had turned into about 400 platinum dust, which is really good still. It's not perfect, it's not 1-to-1, no one expected it to be, but it is way better than anything we could do before. This was the goal. This is perfect. quite frankly. Don't know how else to put it. This is amazing. We are rolling in platinum these days. I spend like 5 minutes just playing around with it because I'm so happy having all the platinum finished. I'm saying this as someone who plays Gregtech a lot. If you really haven't tried out Gregtech, I think you should because it's fun. It's really fun to finish these kinds of things that are like it just fills a specific niche in your brain and it's good. It's a real good feeling. That is the baby flatline, baby. But we are not done with this episode. Of course we are not done. You see the runtime. We still got 15 minutes left to enjoy ourselves. So let's talk about what else we are going to do today. Remember what I said about TPV, titanium, platinum, vanadium? It's time to start getting to work on that. Here I grabbed some vanadium dust, some titanium dust, and some platinum dust that we just newly made, and make an EV mixer so that we can make TPV alloy. The move I have is to upgrade both of our blast furnaces to TPV. However, I'm also making the move to making more than one blast furnace eventually. I want to end up making a quad blast furnace pretty soon because we're going to need more and more hot alloys, and we're at the point where a quad blast furnace is viable. I also realized that in order to cool down TPV, we actually need an EV vacuum freezer, so I set that up. Cooling down the TPV alloy ingots is going to take a while. Right now, I'm only going to upgrade the first two electric blast furnaces I already have. I don't even end up making the quad EBF in this episode. This is what you need in order to get it. I thank you to Nine for telling me that you need exactly 42 coil blocks for a full quad EBF. But that's the TPV coil upgrade mostly finished. At this point, I start looking around the quest book for more multi-blocks to make. Because in EV, you gain access to a lot more, and especially once you gain access to TPV coils. So that's our goal. Our goal is to make more multi-blocks. And one of the first ones that catches my eye is the industrial centrifuge and the industrial thermal centrifuge. So I put those on my menu. Before I can get properly to that, though, it's time to assemble the TPV coil blocks. It's the same as, I guess, the previous ones before it, where they take more mica insulation, the wires, and all of that. But there we go. I finished it, and now we have all of the TPV coil blocks. We need to replace the nichrome coils on our electric blast furnaces. Also, now that we have all these nichrome coils, we can end up upgrading our other electric blast furnaces or multi-smelters we have lying around. So that's nice. It does have this kind of fugly pink color. I really don't like it, but what can you do about it, I guess? Fortunately, no other funky business. I can just turn on those electric blast furnaces, and there we go. We have the TPV coil upgrade. We can get even better alloys from our furnaces. Here, I also start making the stuff for nuclear reactors. Don't worry about that explosion, by the way. It was planned, probably. Here, I'm making the advanced machine casings, and then eventually the nuclear reactor housings. I began to redo my to-do list at this point because I was kind of aimless. I finished the plat line, I got my TPV coils, but now I was just kind of looking for multi-blocks to make and things to do that might help me in the future. It wasn't terribly targeted. I also was looking for something that would completely invalidate the pyrolyze oven that I made a while back. The first thing that really caught my eye was the industrial centrifuge. This is because of endstone dust. Endstone dust gets us helium and platinum powder and tungstate dust, which is very useful because we need tungsten for future stuffs. The issue is that it takes about 300 seconds to regularly centrifuge. However, with the industrial one, it should be at least slightly faster, and it also should run multiple parallels, so it's a very good investment at this point. Also, it's going to end up sort of changing my ore processing setup, but that's more for later down the line. Right now, I just want this big boy centrifuge. You didn't even see the craft of it because honestly the machine casing parts aren't all that expensive. They just take TPV alloy in order to actually be made. I didn't even bother putting it on, let's say, full EV power. I just put it on 1 amp of HV because I thought that was good enough. I didn't want this thing to be running as best as it could be. I just wanted a big centrifuge. And that's exactly what we had. There used to be this trick in 2.7 where you could chisel endstone into endstone bricks and then macerate that for 9 times the output. That has unfortunately been removed, but when I was recording this, it was still a little thing, so that's how I got it. By the way, that 64 endstone dust, that's not its full parallels. It can go faster. It's just that I didn't have enough endstone for it to go faster. But you can put in more and it will run more at the same time, and it will take the same amount of time. So that is actually really good, as it means I have a more reliable source of things like tungsten. Woo, moving to the next multi-block, I need to make red steel because I want the industrial thermal centrifuge. It just seemed like the next best thing to make because honestly the thermal centrifuge itself is kinda terrible. They take 2 amps of their respective tier of power, and that is just so horrible to work with and deal with. I just wanted to be done with that. I just wanted one big thermal centrifuge, no matter how slow it was, really. And it's not even that slow once you end up getting it. Thermal refinery is also the smallest multi-block in the entire mod pack, surprising enough. It's kind of weird, and the thing itself is really bizarre, I suppose, but it's not hard to make. Red steel is cheap, and I mean, the most difficult part was bismuth, which took like a 2-hour mining session and another just to find one. That wasn't fun, but there you go. And with the thermal refinery made, that is me checking off yet another thing from my list. Let's look at some of the other things, but first, let's actually get this set up. I decided to put on 2 amps of HV power, which actually won't do anything. I honestly don't know why I did that. But, you know, it's there now. We have it. Woohoo. Also, for some reason, something I didn't know at the time was that the muffler hatch has to go in the bottom middle. I don't know why. I don't have any answers to how they made these multi-blocks. They just kinda did it. Anyways, there we go. Thermal refinery. It's faster, maybe. Kind of doesn't matter if it's faster. It's probably slightly faster. It just removes those ugly little things I had before. You might have noticed on my to-do list on making the industrial ore washer. That was one of the things I planned to get finished, and then I realized that that was not going to be happening. You see, the industrial ore washer, which we do end up making fairly shortly here, I just had to make an EV extruder as well, is actually really hard to make because the Grisham plates, which is the main component for the wash plant casings, take forever to extrude or to fluid solidify. They are just not reasonable to work with at this point. So I decided to sort of sideline that. I made the, controller block, but I'm not going to focus too hard on making the actual wash plant. Instead, I'm going to make a nuclear reactor. We're not going to use this today. We're going to stay away from the nukes. We're just going to build some more multi-blocks for the rest of the time being. But we do want to get into nukes fairly soon. Nukes are great, especially vac nukes, which are a very viable future power source. But for right now, we can sort of just move past it. I decided to get a couple of other things done. One of the things that I want to do, just for quality of life's sake, is get an EV chemical reactor. Now you might say, hey Avi, don't you already have one of those? And you'd be correct. I do already have one of those. But I am a dumb stupid ass. You see, I have a regular single block EV chemical reactor, and that is a terrible idea, and I should be ashamed for doing it. Instead, a much smarter big brain move is to make a large chemical reactor at EV power. This is playing with Greg. So to put it very simply why I want one of these things, large chemical reactors perfectly overclock. So if I'm doing, let's say, an LV recipe, if I did an EV chemical reactor, it would be 8 times faster. If I did it in an EV large chemical reactor, then it would be about 32 times faster. I want the 32. I don't want the 8. Actually, no, 64 times faster. I did my math wrong there. It is fast. It is much better than what we would be doing previously. I genuinely don't know why I made the single block. The quest tells you to make an LCR, but I made the single block because I am me, I suppose. Anyways, now we're going to have it running at EV power, and that is going to be good. It was also at this point that I realized something. We are not transferring cetane boosted diesel nearly fast enough to keep up with our base. We're still making plenty of it. We have a lot of it. It's just that our pipes are too small. Maybe getting tiny plastic fluid pipes isn't exactly the best idea, but as has been stated many times here, power requirements quadruple going up a tier, so it makes sense that we might be having difficulties just transporting the power. We're going to have to think of a solution to that later, and we're going to have a solution to that later. But for right now, watch it make 3 stacks of sodium hydroxide in just a couple of seconds. There's it running out of power, but that's fine. It's sodium and water. Now let's watch it actually make 3 stacks of sodium hydroxide for real this time. I just want the sodium hydroxide for, I think it was the bauxite line. I don't know why. It was just something that I kind of wanted, and now I can make it ridiculously quickly. It's not even funny, so yay, there we go. We basically fixed any of our issues we were having before with chemical reactors, that is. And also, this makes charged Certus quartz ridiculously quickly. So that is also great for more AE2 stuff. So, perfect. It's good in all respects. And for just a little bit more fun, here's a stack of plastic circuit boards made in, I don't know, that's going to be at least like 13 seconds. Oh no. Yeah, this is good. This is very nice. It is very necessary to make this. We're going to have a lot of these eventually, but for right now, just the singular one where I can just throw the things in when I need it, that's going to be good enough for me. Speaking of which, let's talk AE2, because I really haven't done much with AE2. I mean, I used AE2 to work with the flat line, but I didn't technically need it for that. It just made it a lot easier. Here, we're setting up a little bit more auto-crafting. In this case, I'm using a quartz cutting knife to name 2 different HV wire mills about the specific circuit setting that they will be using, so that I can know better and more accurately what they're going to be making. I also make my first molecular assembler. These are expensive as hell. I hate it. But there we go. We're going to need it to make our assembler towers. But right now, we shouldn't have to worry too hard about that. Again, this is a very rudimentary AE2 setup, so I didn't really even try too hard on making it look nice. Also, I've been using smart cables this entire time. Turns out that's a bad idea. I'll fix that eventually. Don't worry if you're a smart Gregtech Giga Chad. Speaking of AE2, I started thinking about what else could I do that would help with making AE2 components. And the thing that came to mind first was the industrial precision lathe. So, for a lot of AE2 components, you need nether quartz or Certus quartz rods. Those are really annoying to get, because lathes are slow as dirt. But, making an industrial precision lathe will allow me to speed up the rod creation process, especially for things like nether quartz and Certus quartz, where I can't actually use an extruder to make the rods. The most efficient way of making the rods in that case is the lathe, and it's not fast, but this should hopefully alleviate just a little bit of that pain. The craft itself isn't even all that interesting. The controller block is easily the most expensive part because it takes tungsten steel. The rest of it's just a bunch of steel, which we already have in plentiful supply, so it's no problem there. There is one semi-interesting thing about it, and that's that depending on the type of item pipe we use in it, we actually get it to run faster. In this case, I made it run with platinum item pipes, which is the best type of item pipe we have access to at the moment. And that's also another thing Platinum was good for. Hooray! Yay, it's already returning its dividends. But there you can see it has 10 parallels for Certus quartz rods. It's still pretty slow, to be clear. It's not fast, but it's something. It's better than the single block lathe that we had previously, so I'd say it was a worthwhile investment. As the machines of industry bellow out their pollution, unfortunately, I do believe this is all we have time for today. The baby flatline is a big step to future success, and all the quality of life multi-blocks are sure to take a load off of us. However, we have barely touched our noses to what EV has to offer. All of that and more next time.